Hello to all watching. My name is Debbie Archer, and I am absolutely delighted to be a member of the ISTQB community and a member of various working groups within ISTQB. I am privileged to have with me today Klaudia Dussa-Zieger. Klaudia is the Vice President of the ISTQB, the German Testing Board President, a Management Consultant at Imbus, an ISTQB Foundation Advanced Level Trainer, and a lecturer in software testing at the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg, as well as the Chairwoman of the DIN Working Committee. Klaudia, a very, very warm welcome to you today, and thank you so much for being part of the ISTQB Women in Testing series of interviews.
Debbie, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk a little bit today, Klaudia, about women in testing, but from a very personal perspective and your own experiences throughout your career, and see if we can share with people who are watching, particularly the women who are watching, and also indeed anybody who's watching, because diversity, inclusion is very important to ISTQB. Share with people who are watching just some of your experiences, as I say, and some of your thoughts about how to perhaps advance in testing. Let's go back to perhaps early in the years. I think you've been in testing for about 20 years now.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's perhaps those early days of study. I understand that you did a degree in IT at university.
Yeah, I studied computer science at the university in Erlangen. And back then we were about 10% women in the entire year. So it was very few women, but back then, that was already in 1983, very few people had a laptop. Almost nobody had previous programming experience. So it was very new to everybody. It was a very, very new, a very open atmosphere, and it was fun to study.
What was your motivation for doing that as a degree?
Well, I did my high school degree, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And computer science was something new. And I thought, well, why not? I loved math. So math was always an opportunity, or always a possibility to study. And it was something more tangible, not just doing some theoretical math, but really doing some programming and getting some systems to work, doing some tasks for you. So it was an opportunity. It popped up back in '83, and it was an opportunity. And I took it, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. It's a lot. It's still a lot of fun. Back then. Oh, sorry, Debbie.
So no, just thinking. So you said 10% of the people on your course were women, and the other 90% men. And how about when it came to lecturers? Was it the same type of distribution between male, female?
Oh no, less, way less. So I think, given the lecturers, if I recall correctly, I think we had one female lecturer, and all the rest were males. So no, back then there wasn't really a role model where you could look up to, at least not at our university. I know that there have been some female professors and lecturers around. Back then, not in testing. Testing back then was not a topic that was really taught at the university. But yeah, very, very few. So the percentage was even worse. Oh, the only other percentage that was even worse were women and double E. That was abysmal.
Really?
Yeah. Like one woman or two women in 400 students. That was wow.
That's a real wow. You think that's changed nowadays? Just as
a little, yeah. It is improving. It is improving. If I look at the numbers in computer science, they're still somewhere between 10, 15, sometimes perhaps 18%. So it's not really. It didn't grow exponentially, but it is improving. And at least now we have more female lecturers. There are some around, fortunately.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that some of this goes back to perhaps the education before university, and where women are actually getting involved perhaps in the kind of computer studies and what have you, clubs, anything that's kind of motivating people to want to code perhaps or get involved? Where's the kind of root cause for this, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, and I'm not entirely convinced that having these clubs before and having computer science as a topic in school perhaps helps, because when I started, everybody was new to the area and everybody was really looking forward to learn something new. And I got the impression that over the years, perhaps the girls are more intimidated by having guys that have been programming, hacking for years and years. So for a while, I wasn't really sure if that did help a lot, but now I think that the curve is turning up again. So now, with at least in Germany, I hope in other countries too, we have specific programs to foster what we call the MINT topics. So math, then it's informatic, computer science, natural sciences. No, natural sciences. I'm not sure about the correct word in English. So to go into these science jobs or science studies. So, and I think that helps. So bringing them closer, but all these hacking in between, I think that was not beneficial.
Not helping. Tell me about your early career. So you did an IT degree and then went into software testing at some point. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Well, I did my degree in Germany, and then I went abroad. I did a master's in the US. In the US, there were back then already way more female students, PhD students, than they were at the place in Erlangen where I did my studies. And then I came back and did my PhD. And all that time, I didn't work in quality assurance or in software testing. Back then, software testing wasn't really a hot topic. So it wasn't something that was, that was neither offered nor taken. And then after I did my PhD, of course, I looked for my first job. And due to a number of reasons, I ended up at a software testing company. And then it was really learning on the job. So coming from the university, nothing about testing, nothing, no methodology, no process, metrics, nothing. And then I had to learn on the job. And back then, the first 2 weeks, we actually had to do manual testing so that you experience yourself what you have to do. And that was really exciting. And I enjoyed it because going into testing, you have the process, you have the methods, you have the different testing types. You can look into security, you can look into performance, you can look into usability, you can do process improvement. You get to know different customers. You go to healthcare. You go to automotive. Personally, I think the topic is very, very exciting. You have so many different facets, so many different aspects you can work on. I enjoy it very much. I think it's a thrilling topic, way better than programming. And even if you want to do programming, you can do test automation. So that's fine.
It's win-win, win-win. Yeah. So that was early career. Obviously, one of the things that, us women talk about a lot is balancing career and family life. What was your experience there?
Yeah, I do have 3 kids, or my husband and I, we have 3 kids. And personally, I think if you have a good relationship and if you share the responsibility of parenthood, then it works really well. So when our second child was 1.5 years old, I went abroad for 4 days a week to start up a new operating site for my company. So you can do it. Of course, it is easier if you have no kids because you don't have that responsibility for some small beings that love you and look up to you, but you can manage to do it. And if you have somebody who shares it with you, it can work well. But of course, you have to make compromises. And of course, you have to agree who is allowed to work early, who is allowed to work late, who has to pick up the kids, who has to bring them to school. But it can work. It's not impossible. It's hard, but it's not impossible.
People's circumstances are very different.
Yes.
Some people don't have that other person there who can help. I guess some of this is about that support network, the broader support network.
Yes.
And one of the things that I certainly found was that it was traveling. If I needed to travel, that was where I needed a very good support network and, person at home, whatever. Opportunities to network and attend events. And, we've all been online very much recently, haven't we? So actually it's been a really nice transition in some way because attending the events has been easier. I think online conferences, etc. But I think that support network and planning. Oh my gosh, planning! Always planning. I found that when I had the kids and they were younger.
You need to set up a support network for sure. I mean, you need somebody who could pick up the kids in case something happens, not in the bad sense, but if your husband, he also has to work normally. So if he has to be somewhere else, we moved to an area where we have no family. So we had a very lovely nannies that would take some of the responsibilities and help us there. We had very good friends who lived close by who could pick up the kids from kindergarten or school in case we needed it. So yes, you definitely have to build up your support network. And you also need to talk to your employer that, for example, you are only abroad a week, a month, or something along these lines, so that it is a win-win. That is possible for both sides, so that you can do something, but they also have to accept that you have restrictions and can't do 4 weeks or 3 weeks a month.
Yeah, of course. We talk about women in testing, but I think it's really important to say that we recognise that anybody who has got responsibility for looking after children faces this challenge. I think for me, what is really interesting though is that, you know, from your experience, you had the children, you still were able to develop your career and you know, move into various leadership roles. I'd be really interested in any career advice you might have for women who are thinking that this is a career direction they want to take. What would be your top hints for them?
Well, I think the first hint would be, or the first advice would be, to take something or pick something that they really love to do. So don't be afraid. If you think it is computer science, if it is architecture, if it is software testing, then go for it. And then the way I did it, and it worked really well for me, is to take it one step at a time. So I didn't jump from 0 to ISTQB vice president, but I started out leading a software testing group at ASQF. And I did that for a number of years. And then with that experience, I started giving lectures at the university. And with that experience, I grew into the role. I became member of the German testing board. And after a number of years, I applied for the exec, and now I'm the president. So step by step, the radius, the scope of the responsibility is just growing. And I think if you really are passionate about what you're doing, then I think the step to take the responsibility and be the one in front is not that hard anymore. If you really are convinced that what you're doing is, well, perhaps not brilliant, but at least very good, yeah, then you're fine. I don't think that we need to shy away just because we're women. No, that's not the case. We are also smart and we can do it.
So thinking, there's two aspects to a career, I guess, in any career, whether it's testing or whatever. You've got people who are younger women who are perhaps thinking, you know, this is a career direction for me, and setting it. You've also got perhaps people who have already got an established career and think about moving into testing. We often hear about people in the business deciding that, you know, I want to move into a testing type role. Are there different different things which you should be focusing on depending on where you are in your career, do you feel?
Well, that is an interesting question. I guess that when you're already one step into your career and you want to switch into testing, you should be passionate about what you're doing. I think curiosity is like one of these points. If you want to really go into testing, it's not that you necessarily want to break everything apart, but you want to know where are the limits of the system. How can you tweak it a little bit that it doesn't work anymore? So you need this je ne sais quoi, this little bit of a curiosity, of eagerness to look how badly you can treat the system for it to break, and this kind of stuff. Now, for a young woman, I think the decision when you want to have kids, in which direction do you want to go? Is it convenient for you where the company is? Can you align the private life and the professional life so it works out for you? The best, I think, is still has a larger weight than later on. And honestly, I came to the testing company because it was close by and I could pick up my daughter in the lunch break. So it was like less than 15 minutes away. That was definitely one of the reasons why I picked the company.
So, but your journey into testing wasn't, it wasn't because of that. You were very definite that, you know, you wanted a career in testing after your first taste of it and your first roles.
Yes. Yeah, after I started into testing, that was I really enjoy it. I think it's very, Yeah, it has a lot of different aspects, and it's always something new. It's not boring. I would hate to do the same stuff 10 or 15 years. That would be, for me, that would be hell. I don't want to do that. I want to explore new areas, new methodologies, whether it's AI or machine learning or testing and DevOps. I think this is really very exciting, especially if you look at the fact how fast the IT community or the technology is evolving. It's really thrilling to be in the middle of it and trying to make it better, trying to improve quality, trying to find bugs so that it will be better at the end.
How do you keep yourself up to date? Because we're in quite a fast-moving environment. How do you keep yourself up to date?
That is really difficult. That is really difficult because I think you can't keep up with everything. Yeah, and I try to focus on the areas that appeal the most for me. And I'm very fortunate that I get the opportunity. Like 2 years ago, AI was the topic where I did some studies where I could spend some time and learn about the entire way how AI-based systems are set up, how machine learning works out, and so on. This year, it's DevOps, testing and production, A/B testing. How can you deal with that? Because if you go back, like 20 years, testing and production was a big no-no. You don't do that. You don't want to threaten your customers' data. But now we are doing it. And this is, again, very exciting. So I'm trying not to know everything because that's not possible anyway. But I'm trying to focus on the aspects that are either very interesting to me or that are very new to the entire area where I can learn the most and still have fun and enjoy it. I enjoy it.
I think that's one of the best motivators, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Having fun,
yes.
Enjoying it.
Yes. Yeah, it comes back. You need to do what you love to do. And then I think you spend enough time, you work hard, but you don't mind. It's that you enjoy it and you're passionate about it. And I think that kind of shows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I know for me personally that made a big difference in my career was having a mentor, having somebody who was willing to give me some time, give me some feedback, give me some hints, help me to build some confidence. As a woman, I remember sometimes being in meetings and thinking, I'm surrounded by chaps, perhaps, not knocking men, but surrounded by chaps, and you all sound as though you really know what you're talking about. And I had a little bit of that old imposter syndrome where I'm thinking, should I really be here? And I did find that having a good mentor made a big difference and helped me to build that confidence. Was there anybody there who supported you in that sort of way?
Yes, actually, yes. I had a very good professor who was my PhD, how do you call it, consultant or the sparring partner with whom I could discuss that. And he always gave me the feeling that it was on an equal eye technical discussion level. So it was never this belittling thing, but we were on the same lines and I can do exactly the same as all his other male students. And that really helped a lot. So it was like normal. It wasn't something extraordinary. And that was just wonderful, to see that he believes in you and he thinks you can do as great research as all the others. So that was really very helpful. And then later on in the company, or if I talk to customers, most of the time it really works very well. I had perhaps 2 or 3 encounters where I would be ignored because I'm a woman. But you can, how to say that? You see that. You can, if you talk to them, you will find that out within a couple of minutes and you just let it pass and that's it. Yeah.
And don't have faith in yourself.
Yes. Don't be bothered. There are idiots all over the place. So.
Faith in yourself.
Don't be bothered by it. They are not smarter. They just put on a better show.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Building that confidence.
Yes,
it is a difficult one, and I wonder sometimes does it mean that we don't apply for those jobs as women? Do we immediately look at maybe a job advert and think, no, I'm not up to that. I'm not capable of that. Do you think sometimes we are our own enemy in some ways?
Yes, I do. Honestly, I do. I had a discussion with a male colleague and we had a job description with 10 points. And I said, well, I can do 6 out of 10. And I'm sure I would not apply. And he said, 6, that's more than half. Go for it. Go for it. So I think it's a different approach. They just take it from a different angle. And if they match 5 or 6 of it, they think they're brilliant for the job because they covered more than half. And I think it really is a different approach. And I think we need to be more confident, but we also need to build up a network to support each other and help each other. I think that is really an important aspect. And this is also the reason why I'm part of the initiative. I think we need more role models. We need to show more, just be more visible that you can do it. You don't need to hide away. There are people, and there are actually a lot of good female computer scientists, girls, women that have achieved very much in testing.
It's a little bit of reframing for ourselves here, isn't it? Reframing with that confidence, taking the passion and using that passion because it will take you forward. That's wonderful.
Yes, definitely.
Klaudia, I've really enjoyed speaking to you today about this subject, which I know is very close to both of our hearts and which we both feel very passionate about. Would you like to make any closing remarks, perhaps?
Well, enjoy what you're doing, be passionate about it, and the rest will come by itself.
Oh, thank you.
Use the opportunities that show up. Don't be afraid and hide away. Don't
use the opportunities. I think
use the opportunities. Yes, yes. And you know, if you don't like it, you can always quit. It's not like you are in chains and you have to do it for the rest of your life. So use the opportunities and stand up and do it.
And look for opportunities and don't shy away from the opportunities and put yourself forward, perhaps, and, you know, think I can rather than could I can. A different mindset, which I think can sometimes really frame things a little bit.
Yes, definitely.
Especially at times. So again, my thanks, and thank you to people who are watching this. I believe it's going to be posted onto the ISTQB social media, and I'm sure that, you know, we'd welcome comments and insight, and, you know, to all you women out there, please share your experiences and your stories. We'd love to hear it. And to Klaudia, thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.